Alright, so before I start this video, I know it's going to be bumpy because I'm still holding my camera with my hand, and that's been a serious issue. So I actually ordered some new camera gear. I ordered a GoPro Hero 7, which would be nice. I've been wanting a GoPro for the longest time, and I finally got one. But I got all the suction cup mounts and all the flexible mounts and all that stuff. So hopefully I'll be having better angles, better quality, less shakiness, and all that. So I just want to go over that before I get started here. Explaining what's going on. So basically what ended up happening was the transmission was toast, and I took the car to a shop to have them diagnose it. I didn't have the time, I didn't have the resources at the moment to I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna take it to the shop. So I took it to my local shop. It's only like 3 minutes down the street from my house, so it's really nice. I didn't have to go far, didn't have to get the car towed. I ended up just driving it there. It was a little difficult because I only had first gear, but as you can see, I'm in my car, I'm driving, and it's running again. So basically the transmission was toast. Now, before you start flaming me and saying, oh, you beat the shit out of it, you blew out the transmission, I don't know that that's the case. I really don't know what happened. My car is sitting at 68,000 miles right now on the dot, 68,015 actually. And to be completely honest with you, 9 times out of 10 I granny shift this car. A few times when I get on it, I'll flat foot shift, and I have the car set up for it, and I'm very careful about it every time I do it. I'm never like aggressive with it. And the car, you know, was fine for the longest time. Now, when you guys, if you saw my clutch install video, when I replaced my clutch with the ACT clutch, and I actually, stupid me, put the freaking clutch disc in backwards. I was rushing to get it done. I was in a hurry. I wanted my car back on the road, and I just was overlooking stupid stuff like that, and I actually put my disc in backwards. But if you're looking for a clutch install video that was actually very informative, and the whole thing went very smooth besides that, so go check out that video. But after I was like, I put the freaking clutch disc in backwards, this is just terrible. And you know, I don't know. I was like, you know what, I'm not doing this again. I actually started tearing parts back off my car, and I was gonna pull the motor again and swap the clutch disc around, and I ended up not doing it. Well, I ended up taking it to the shop because I just didn't want, you know, I didn't feel like doing it. I really didn't want to do it again. So I ended up having it towed down to the shop, and they pulled it out and, you know, removed the clutch disc for me. And of course it was messed up. The disc wasn't bent, the disc was fine, but the splines on the disc weren't designed to go in backwards, but somehow it let me slide it on backwards with no issue. But what happened was, once the transmission and everything mated, it just shredded those. So they ended up replacing that for me, and they didn't pull the motor, they pulled the transmission. And here's where my theory is coming in. Because like I said, the car doesn't even have 70,000 miles on it yet, and honest to God, I've been very gentle with it. You know, everyone's like, oh, I saw that you off-roaded your car, you're beating the shit out of your car, and, you know, that's not the case. My off-roading video, my off-roading was literally driving through basically a muddy field. I was in like second gear the whole time. I wasn't flying around. You know, it basically did it just enough to throw mud all over the car, you know, for shits and giggles. It wasn't like I was, you know, rally racing the car. I wasn't, you know, off-road autocrossing, nothing crazy. I wasn't beating the shit out of it. The turbo sump crack actually only happened because I hit, like, coming out of the field, I bottomed out because I wasn't careful. So that was just, you know, it's all a learning curve. You know, you do stupid shit, you learn from it. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. But put that all aside, and I actually ended up taking the car, like I said, I took it to the shop, and they, instead of pulling the motor, they dropped the transmission. So when they dropped the transmission, obviously you got to pull the axles, and you're going to lose a lot of fluid. So at that point, you just drain the fluid, you know, drop the transmission, put the new transmission, or put the transmission back up, put new fluid in it, put the clutch back, everything. So here's my theory. When I bought the car at right around 48,000 miles, so actually I put 20,000 miles on this in a year. That's ridiculous. But when I bought the car at 40,000 miles, I immediately changed the transmission and differential gear oil, because I knew it was like a service that was coming up, and I wasn't sure that the person that sold the car when they traded it in, or the dealership or anybody, had changed that. And I really didn't want to have any issues. Sorry, this road's really bumpy and my arm's getting tired. I really didn't want to have any problems with that. So, you know, that was just the first thing that I did. Well, you know, I ended up doing that, and the car was fine, obviously, for almost 20,000 miles. The new clutch has only been in for 4,000. And what ended up happening, like I said, was they pulled the transmission to switch the clutch disc around. And I'm not sure what fluid they put in, or what gear oil, rather. And this is a bit concerning to me. I was running the OEM Subaru gear oil, but there's a lot of debate, anywhere on the Subaru forums, people argue over this all day long, you know. Don't run this gear oil, don't run this gear oil, only run this, only run that. You know, and I didn't want to get involved in it, so I just stuck with the regular Subaru High Performance GL5 gear oil. So when I went to the shop, they replaced my transmission. Now, this is the thing. My transmission only lasted about 4,000 miles after they had pulled it to put that clutch in. So my theory is they drained it. Now, I'm not putting the blame on someone else. This could have been my fault. The car was modded when I bought it, so the previous owner probably abused it some. You know, I'm not saying this isn't my fault, or, you know, just the previous owner's fault, anything. I'm just speculating here. So I'm not sure what gear oil they put in it. And if they put a GL4 gear oil or something, you know, non-synthetic, that could really cause issues, and really cause issues really quick. And the fact that as soon as they swapped that out, 4,000 miles later, the transmission's toast. I had no issues with the transmission the whole time I had this car for 20,000 miles. And all of a sudden, you know, 3,000 miles in, third gear starts grinding. All of a sudden, 4,000 miles in, it just gives out. You know, and that's not cool. So that's what I'm thinking. Now, I didn't blame the shop. It went through my warranty company. Luckily, I didn't have to pay for any of it. But, you know, that's just what happened, and I wanted to get that out of the way. So, yes, it could have been abuse. If it was, it's my fault, whatever. You know, let's just get that out of the way. But that's my theory, is that something, you know, that might have been an issue. Well, when I picked up this new transmission, I asked them what gear oil they used. Excuse me, and they told me they'd use 7590 gear oil. They didn't give me any specifics, and I asked, and they said we just use 7590. And I was like, okay. So, to prevent any sort of issue in the future, I'm just going to Subaru tomorrow, and I'm getting regular 7590 high performance Subaru gear oil. Like I said, I don't want to deal with this again, you know, and obviously I'm going to be a little bit easier on the car now, you know, lesson learned, but definitely be on the safe side. I'm going to switch the oil. So, long story short, the car's back on the road. Everything's good to go. They told me that my new ACT clutch didn't look very healthy and that I should replace it. I think that's just them trying to get extra money. That's why I don't like taking my cars to any sort of repair shop, because they'll try and nickel and dime you. And that clutch only has 4,000 miles on it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and pass on that. I'm not going to put a new clutch on it. So obviously, you know, I had to pull out in third gear a few times. And by a few times, I mean like probably less than 5, just to get the car home and get it to the shop. And that's really the only abuse this clutch has seen since I put it in. And there's no way that destroyed the clutch. So at that point, I was like, you know what, they're just trying to get some extra money and whatever. So I told them no go on that. So they put the same clutch and everything back in. But yeah, I did end up actually getting a Subaru OEM throwout bearing, because my ACT throwout bearing that came with the ACT clutch was terrible. It squeaked, it squealed, it sounded like crickets in the engine bay. It was awful. So I asked him to replace that. I went and bought a new OEM Subaru one. That way, you know, that's out of the way. The car, you know, you would put it in neutral and let off the clutch and it would just chip, 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 chip. I'll actually insert a video now. That's just what it was doing, and it was very annoying, and, you know, so I'm glad I replaced that at least. But I'm just glad to have the car back. Like I said, I'm going to take a little bit better care of it now, you know, just be a little careful. I know it's getting up there in mileage, you know, and I'm up there in power, and, you know, so I understand that. But I've ordered a few new things for the car. I actually ordered, yeah, like three things for the car and then the camera. So I'm going to be making a few install videos here. My buddy Tyler is actually buying a brand new 2019 WRX on Friday, and that'll be really cool. So I have another buddy with the same car. You know, we can, you know, obviously right away he's going to want to get rid of them chrome headlights. He already told me he wants me to do a couple things to his car and help him along his build. So that'll be cool. I get to get you guys probably footage of his build as well. So there's new things coming. You know, speed bump is out of the way. You know, we're just gonna move forward from here. If something else happens, we'll address it when it happens. But like I said, there's a lot of events coming up. You know, spring's right around the corner. I'm gonna try and get some footage of some of those events, you know, and take the car to it. I really want to enter this car in a show this year, but there's a lot of shit I got to do to get this car ready for me to be confident enough to show it at a car show. So anyways, guys, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one.